This week's episode of Love Letters, Life, and Other Conversations is brought to you by Phineas Wright House on the Road. Our luxury trips are curated with you in mind to create an experience that is intimate, interactive, and immersive. We have 3 spots left in our Paris and Versailles trip, which is September 5th to the 12th, and only 1 spot left for the Charente-Maritime Cookbook Project trip, which is September 20th to the 26th. Registration closes Sunday, July 31st. Do what delights you, my friend. Say yes to yourself. Head to the link in the show notes and join us for one of these dreamy experiences. Hello, Jane.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
43 degrees here. I think that's about 120 Fahrenheit in your language.
That is insane.
It's absolutely insane. But I've been going out and watering the garden, and I just take off my shoes and go out in my dress and take off my watch. And then I just squirt myself.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I've been keeping quite cool, actually. And I will go and do a bit more watering after I've spoken to you.
Does it typically get that hot, or is this historical?
No, this is hysterical and historical. Our very first year here, 18 years ago, we had 2 weeks of over 40 degrees.
Oh my.
Typically, a lovely summer's day in Normandy is somewhere between 24 and 31.
Okay.
So 43 is outrageous.
Yes. Yes.
But good news is, Wendy, I can't eat when it's this hot.
Right.
And I've gone back to my intermittent fasting, 16 hours a day. So it actually suits me down to the ground because it means that I'm getting a bit of a kickstart with not really having to think about it at all.
Oh, that's nice. And with the way that the residency is set up, it's not like the French table where you were taking people to 3 meals a day.
Oh, exactly.
Kind of on their own.
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly. Yeah. I've just spent the last hour prepping everything for a niçoise salad for dinner tonight. So
nice.
They're having a nice cool niçoise salad. I think I will be having a cold shower and going to bed.
Brilliant. So good. It is hot here too, but not uncharacteristically hot. It's very humid. My hair is getting larger by the hour.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty low. So tonight, if I were to send you a picture, it would be very big.
I like it like that, Wendy.
Oh, thank you.
I really like it like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense in the summer to straighten it.
No.
It's just too humid.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it suits you. And it's your natural hair.
Yes. It's a little bit sassy. So
it is a bit sassy.
I cannot be reined in during the summer.
No, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so today, our springboard, you get to make a choice of 2 topics because I am reading this book, A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. I finished it and then just started it over again because it's so epic. This is reflections on the principles of A Course in Miracles, which I know you're going to start if you haven't started already. And I'm going to start A Course in Miracles in October.
When you're back from France.
Yes, when I'm back from France.
I'm starting on the 1st of August.
Nice.
When I haven't got any guests.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice.
So I can give it my full attention.
I feel like it needs our full attention.
I think it does too.
It's one of those things that it's my understanding the requirements are not, there's not a workbook or there's homework associated with it, but it is such a paradigm shift that it's a lot of learning and unlearning, which we've been talking about over the past few weeks.
So I'm really I like that kind of stuff. I'm like,
Oh, I
ooh,
love that. I love that kind of
Great.
stuff. I'm reading at the moment 101 essays to make you think differently.
ooh, interesting.
You'll like it.
I
think.
will like that. Oh, that's so fun.
I'll send you, I think I've got the title slightly wrong. 101 essays to make you think differently. It's slightly different to that, the last
Okay.
3 words, but
Sounds
I'll send
fascinating.
it to you and have a look. It's lovely.
Perfect.
And also, like I imagine the course will be, very thought-provoking.
Yes.
Nothing arduous about it, just thought-provoking.
Right. Right.
So I just sit with a pen and paper and jot down notes.
That's brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
So
And I
your
love
topic choice is
Tell me.
faith
Faith.
or surrender. I know.
Faith, surrender. Ooh la la.
You know what? I'm going to make the choice for you because
Go for it.
without they are linked.
They're
That's why I didn't say it.
Inextricably linked.
That's
They're
right.
inextricably linked.
Yes, they are. Okay, so good. So good. Okay, here we go. My excerpt from A Return to Love, chapter 4, which is entitled Surrender, but section 1, which is entitled Faith. Now, let me just say as a caveat, I believe the word God is going to be in here. So for anyone listening that the word God does not bring the same level of relief and comfort that it brings to me, please use whatever word works for you. Universe, divine, source, infinite, all of it.
Yep.
Okay. To trust in a force that moves the universe is faith. Faith isn't blind, it's visionary. Faith is believing that the universe is on our side and that the universe knows what it's doing. Faith is a psychological awareness of an unfolding force for good, constantly at work in all dimensions. Our attempts to direct this force only interferes with it. Our willingness to relax into it allows it to work on our behalf. Without faith, we're frantically trying to control what is not our business to control and fix what is not in our power to fix. What we're trying to control is much better off without us, and what we're trying to fix can't be fixed by us anyway. Without faith, we're wasting time.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, let me say that I was brought up in a convent, so I was brought up in a very strict religious regime. We had faith shoved down our necks every minute of the day.
Did you have faith shoved down your neck, or did you have religion shoved down your neck?
No, we had faith. We had faith because we were told whenever we questioned anything, we were told that we just must have faith. So I guess the hairs go up on the back of my neck.
Right.
Look, I find there's a lot terribly comforting about religion that I find incredibly comforting. And I think that I do have great faith. But as a kid, I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult, I don't even really look at the faith in a religious context.
Correct.
I almost see faith as that inner voice,
mm-hmm.
that gut feeling, but I also have a lot of faith in a grander power. I think you and I have spoken about this, Wendy. You know that I say the Lord's Prayer every night. It's my mantra before I go to sleep. I have great faith that every night when I say the Lord's Prayer, that I will be lulled off to sleep. It's who I am. I've been doing it since I was 5. You know, I will go around and say I'm not a particularly religious person, but I probably am a far more religious person than I give myself credit for. I say that I'm incredibly spiritual. And why I say that is because I also think that this faith is that gut, is that intuition, is that knowing, is that leaving alone, is that just staying in your lane and doing your own thing and not controlling, like your springboard suggested. Do I have faith? Oh, yes. Do I have faith in the traditional sense? Absolutely. Let me tell you a little tiny story. My mum was about to be assessed by the powers in Australia that would assess her and decide whether she was needing to go into a nursing home. And the reason this had happened was because my brother believed that my dad wasn't coping. And so he called in the assessment team. And Dad and I were a bit freaked out about the whole thing, to say the least. Anyway, it was the Saturday night, and the assessment team was coming on the Monday, and the phone rang, and Dad was on the other end of the line in a phone box. This is 2007. He would have had a mobile phone, but anyway, he rang me from a phone box while he was picking up the fish and chips for him and Mum to have while they watched the footy.
Oh my gosh, so cute.
Okay. And he said, darling, are you coming on Monday? And I said, of course I'm coming on Monday, Dad. And I said, I've been thinking about it. And I have been talking to Pete, and Pete has actually come up with quite a good scenario to tell the assessment team that, yes, you do find it hard at times, but what we're going to do is you're going to go to France with Pete and help Pete for a couple of months. Mum's going to move in with me, and her nurses will come every day. My mum had vascular disease and heart disease, and, you know, the doctors said quality, not quantity.
Right.
Okay. But she was an incredibly bright person. She skipped 4 classes at school. She was at Melbourne University at the age of 14. I've told you this story.
Yes.
And she didn't have any dementia. She didn't have any issues. She just had this body that was starting to give up on her.
Right.
And Dad said, oh, that sounds like a really great strategy. And I said, Dad, she can't go into a nursing home. We're talking about Mum.
Right.
You know, she doesn't take fools lightly. She takes
she'll eat those people for lunch.
She will not only eat those people for lunch, but every dad and mine, my brother wouldn't have got in trouble and my sister wouldn't have got in trouble. But Dad and I, she would never have spoken to us ever again.
Right. She would blame you even though you didn't make a call.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, Dad calmed down and he got off. He said, okay, I just wanted to check. And I said, well, Dad, you know, just don't worry about it. I said, do you think Mum knows? And he said, no, I don't think she has any idea. And I said, well, I saw her this afternoon and I don't think she has any idea either. But anyway, the assessment team was coming at the same time as her nurse and her hygienist. So, you know, and as long as you and I are there and it's not a surprise, you know, we can introduce and we can say, this is what's happened and this is how we want to handle it. Anyway, Dad calmed down. I got off the phone. It was probably 9 o'clock at night. You know me, early to bed. I got into bed, said the Lord's Prayer. And then I said this. I said, I know I don't talk very often. In fact, I can't remember the last time I actually spoke. But if that assessment team is going to find her needing to go into a nursing home on Monday, take her in her sleep. Do not let this happen. Please, please don't let this happen. 6:45 the next morning, my dad rang me and said, I think you better come round here. I can't wake Mum up.
Oh, Jane.
So you asked me whether I have faith. Oh, yes, I have faith. I have great faith, because that was probably the hardest thing that was ever going to happen to me. But I believe that I asked, not for myself, well, a little bit for myself, but for my mum, for my mum. I was the kid that grew up with the mother saying, oh, shoot me before you let anyone put me into one of those places. Okay.
Right.
And I know that plenty of people have to do this because of dementia or because of, falls or, other things. That wasn't the case with Mum.
Right.
She was still as bright as she was when she was 35. She'd lost a leg to vascular disease. Her body was giving up on her, not her mind. And it would have been absolutely horrific. Anyway,
toodaloo. Oh, my word. Okay.
Have I ever told you that story before?
I only knew the back half of the story, not the front half. So, oh my word. And first of all, thank you. Thank you for that treasure. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for letting me in. I see so much beauty in that story for you and for your dad, because the little bit I know, which now feels even less, the little bit that I know, her death was going to have a significant impact on your life and on your living for all sorts of reasons. And of course, that's typical, but it was going to be. So the grace of the universe of bringing you to a place where you were asking for the thing that you couldn't even imagine what was going to look like when it actually happened naturally. I think that is so beautiful, because my personal opinion is your request is not what made that happen. Like, that was already happening, but you having the opportunity to come to a place where that was a relief, that was something that felt precious to you, like you feel seen and heard and connected to divine source because of that incident, where many times with the death of a parent, people find that act as a hard separation. For you, it was a reminder of connection. And I think that is gorgeous.
Yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I still miss Mum every day. That was 2007. But I have absolutely no regrets. And I think that in itself, we had a wonderful relationship. We had, we saw each other every day.
It's so beautiful.
They with us for 4 years when the kids were tiny. I took Mum to all her doctor's appointments and we went market shopping together. We had grandparents' night every single Monday night, come rain or hail. Nothing got in the way of grandparents' night. They picked the children up every Wednesday and brought them home. And I took them to the library because Dad felt that, they were really missing out by not going to the local library. I said, well, you do it. They'll love it if they do it with you, Grandpa.
Right.
But I also knew in my heart that if she was put in a nursing home. Everything that we had ever had would be gone.
Right.
It would be destroyed.
Right.
And people might say, oh, that's ridiculous, Jane. So many people go through that. Let me tell you, I have complete faith that I'm right in that, because I knew my mother
Right.
like nobody else knew her. I knew what made her tick. And I knew that she would never forgive me.
Mhm. And this is a zero judgment zone, by the way, and everyone is having their own human experience, and everyone gets to make the decision that feels right for them. And we can inquire, and we can ask for advice, and we can receive wise counsel. And sometimes we're just not available for opinions. So please not feel any judgment. Everyone is making their own decisions. Everybody is
Absolutely.
living with the consequence and the responsibility of those decisions.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we are asked to do is to love and to not be judgmental. It's just not my job. It's not anybody's job. Our only job is to love.
Exactly. So that's probably my big faith story, but I have had another faith story recently, which I won't go into the details of, but I've had a conversation and I've asked for some help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm receiving the help, I'm telling you.
Right.
And I know, and I have no qualms about talking to you about this, Wendy, because I know you have great faith and you are an extremely Christian person who practices her Christianity every single day. I don't pretend to be that person, but as far as faith is concerned, I do have faith. It's funny, a friend said to me about 6 months ago, there's something quite comforting about religion until there isn't, and she was talking.
I love that.
She was talking really about, how wrong things can go in Christian community. Well, I'm not even talking about Christianity. I'm talking about religious communities, how wrong things can go, because there's still bad people in every community.
Everything that is off-putting to me about religion has to do with people.
Yeah, I know.
So I feel like I am, in this particular season in my life, feeling more aligned with my faith and with my relationship to God than with my connection to any local congregation or body of believers. And I've been going to church every Sunday since I was 3.5 years old. So I went to Bible college. I have been in the practice and in the habit and in the joy and life of being in community with other people that are practicing the same faith. And like your friend, it's amazing until it's not. And I did not have a particular milestone. There wasn't anything that necessarily happened. But for me right now, I am focusing on my personal experience with God and living into the truth and the beliefs of I believe in the Bible. So what the Bible says, that is important to me. And the way that some other institutions or organizations or groups of people have interpreted those words don't always feel in alignment with me and how I'm experiencing God. And so I have, for this season, taken a step inward, and that is my human experience, and everybody else can do what everybody else wants. But one thing that I will say is such a blessing and something that I am so filled with gratitude toward is that I began this journey of religion as a young child.
Yes.
That morphed. I would say that my morphing from religion, something that I was involved in, I always thought kind of, that God was a friend of my parents, and I knew about him and I learned about
Dad
him.
was a minister. And
right, my dad was a minister, but I didn't really experience faith for myself until I was in college. I was in Bible college and I met Jesus in Bible college. Like, that was a very transformative, pivotal moment in my faith journey. And I'm so grateful that I have this foundation of beliefs, of truths, of promises that I hold on to that were cemented in me as a young child.
yes.
So that knowledge, coupled with the experience as a young adult, and then life experience, and then where I am now, to be able to look at something like the sentence, faith isn't blind, it's visionary, and say, yes, I believe that. And I'm seeing new things with my new set of eyes in this new time and place in my human experience that I trust, even though they're different from my religious background or what might be happening in somebody else's human experience at church. But I can see it and identify it and feel the safety that comes from my foundation of faith that was begun building as a child.
Yeah. Well, my faith is probably more tangible and tactile and practical in terms of, look, I'll give you a couple of examples. Yesterday, as you know, Monday morning, we go to Paris.
That's divine.
The first thing I do every time I get into a car, under my breath, no one hears me. It's just my breath in my head. Our Father who art in heaven. I say the Lord's Prayer. I also ask St. Christopher to keep me safe, because growing up, there was this St. Christopher's medal that was behind the flap that comes down. What do you call the thing?
Oh, right, the visor.
The visor. And I remember sitting in the back of the car and saying, and I would have been 2 or 3, what is that? And Mum and Dad telling me that it was a St. Christopher's medal, that it would keep us safe. Now, when we arrived here at Bosque, I was, vacuuming every crevice in the park. And one of the parka trees came loose. And underneath a piece of parka tree, I found about 8 pure little old rose gold St. Christopher's medals.
Oh, Jane, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And so, each of us have a St. Christopher's medal. My children would tell you that they are all atheists. My husband's an atheist, but they all, they all know that I have this background, and I have these little quirks, if you like, these little practices, these little faith pods. I hold on to. And, the little St. Christopher's medal, the saying the Lord's Prayer before I drive the car, keep me safe. And they all laugh and they say, every time I find a car park, because I am pretty tinny at finding the car park.
That's
But
right, you are.
Hail Mary, full of grace, please find me a parking space.
Whatever works, ma'am. And you know what I'm going to say, if I could just interject there, that is not disrespecting, in my opinion. This is all of my opinions. That is not disrespecting the power of the universe. That is a picture of living in abundance, that the provision that is available for you is everywhere. It's a penny on the sidewalk. It's a parking space.
That's right.
It's whatever
the
you're
magnificent
manifesting.
sunrise as we were driving to Oiselle yesterday.
Yes.
We stopped on the side of the road and Karen and I looked at the sunrise. She took photos and I kept driving, and we just made oohing sounds for about 15 minutes. And it was magnificent.
Right.
Now, if that is not something higher than us, then I'll go he.
Right. It's yes.
Yes.
You find what you're looking for. If you are not a person who believes in any of this, you won't find it.
No.
It's actually, you're not available for it. So it's not going to look for you either.
And that's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine.
But not fine for me.
Not fine for me either. You're on a much higher level than I am. And
I don't know about that. I'm on my own level and you're on yours.
It's a different level. Mine is very grassroots. It's very tactile. It's very in the moment. It's very practical.
Mm-hmm.
But then I get, Sunday, we were at Le Bec Halloween.
Oh, right. So beautiful.
I just love the magic that happens there.
Yes.
Apart from the theatre of the whole thing and the beautiful music, it's the watching all the beautiful little families that are there and the interactions between mothers and fathers and children and grandparents. And then, we get a lot of families that have come out to family homes for the weekend, and there might be 4 or 5 sisters with all their kids and all their spouses, and they all congregate to church before going and having a long lunch together. I mean, before breaking bread together.
Beautiful.
And, I always say to people, it doesn't matter whether you're Christian, whether you're what denomination of Christianity you are, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Hindu, it doesn't matter.
No.
Just go and experience what happens there. A lot of people stay for the whole ceremony,
Beautiful.
and say to me afterwards, I just can't believe how beautiful that was. So this, that touching of hearts and, just by taking people to a place like that. I mean, I often say, I love to sit here and just meditate.
Right.
I mean, meditation is prayer.
Right. It's listening, the listening part of prayer.
That's right.
Prayer is the talking to God, and meditation is the listening.
Exactly. So there you go. And as for surrender, well, they are inextricably linked, faith.
Yes, they are.
And you can't have one without the other.
Right.
And unless you have faith, unless you listen to that inner voice, unless you, Wendy.
Yes.
Yesterday that I was reading, I came to this conclusion. Hang on, I'm going to get it right so I don't muck it up, because it's very apt for what we're talking about. The space between knowing and doing, that's a painful place. But I actually believe that if you do have faith and you surrender to that faith, and I'm saying gut feeling, intuition.
Right.
And
Discernment.
there's something that you know in your heart is right, but going there or doing it or allowing it to come into your life or allowing it to happen is a whole other thing. And that space between knowing something's right for you and actually going there is agony. But when you're sitting in the agony, if you surrender to it, surrender to what, your intuition, to what God, to what yourself, to what your spirit, to what that little voice inside your head is telling you, yep, you're on the right track. Yes, I do believe that you are right about this. Once you surrender to it, the getting there is easy.
Right. Agreed. And that's where it loops back to faith.
Exactly.
So I'm going to read what I said I wasn't, because that's how this works. Surrender means, by definition, giving up attachment to results. When we surrender to God, we let go of our attachment to how things happen on the outside, and we become more concerned with what happens on the inside. That which is surrendered is taken care of best. To place something in the hands of God is to give it over mentally to the protection and care of a benevolent universe. To keep it ourselves means to constantly grab and clutch and manipulate. We keep opening the oven to see if the bread is baking, which only ensures that it never gets a chance to.
Yep. Wendy, you and I were having a chat about this last time you were here. Do you remember the night before we went to Versailles and all the girls, we were sitting around the table together, and
Yes,
we were talking about the universe sorting things out.
Yes, I remember it well.
Used the word universe because there was a group of people, and I think that using the word the universe is a safer way to have those sorts of conversations.
Absolutely.
But someone is agnostic or isn't a believer, they can still be a believer in the universe sorting things out.
Yes.
Without believing in God. And I remember it was a really long conversation. It went for about 2 hours. Do you remember?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so funny because, again, I will reiterate to anyone that's listening, Wendy and I do not discuss what we are going to talk about. It was Wendy's turn today, and she came with faith and surrender and that springboard. Only yesterday, I spent about an hour and a half on the train to Paris, going over and over and over the space between knowing and doing. It's a painful place. But
until it isn't. It doesn't have to be, actually. It can be a beautiful space.
Oh,
identified. Even if you've identified something scary.
Yeah.
There's such beauty in the knowing and the feeling safe and held by the universe that you can take this next step. You can take this leap, this thing that is big. It's, you take the leap and the bridge appears. You can do this, and you are not doing this on your own, and you are being carried by the force that created the galaxy. You're in good hands.
Yeah. Yes. And it was just as we were discussing that, and the whole surrender. The surrender's the big thing. It's the key.
Right? It's opening the oven to see if the bread is baking.
It is the key to allowing the faith to do the work.
100%.
Oh, well, that's been a lovely one, Miss Wendy. I've enjoyed that.
Oh, as have I. It's so beautiful to have these conversations with you. It just helps cement these beautiful principles, and the way that I digested them the first time I read it, the way I interact with it the second time I read it, and then a completely different experience, sharing it with you and hearing your insight. And I love the expansiveness of sharing this journey.
Me too. Me too. So your takeaways, Madame.
That is my takeaway.
That's your takeaway. And my takeaway is this. You and I have not actually had a conversation about God before. That wasn't as scary as I thought it might have been.
Oh, I'm glad. It's because I'm not scary. And either
No, I know you're not scary. I know you're not scary, but I tend to stay away from God conversations. I don't really, because I do talk about the universe and about a higher power. I just don't typically talk about it in a religious context.
Well, I think that's a really great qualifier. So what I'm suggesting is that faith and religion are not always the same thing. And you can have one without the other. And boy, can you have religion without faith. Oh
yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And again, my takeaway is everything that has turned me off about religion has to do with people.
Yeah.
And that was not the intention. I mean, humans have the capacity to mess up some pretty fabulous things.
Oh yeah. Ain't that the truth? Well, I've adored every second of that, Miss Wendy.
Same.
And I'm now going to pitter-patter downstairs, throw together a Niswa salad for the residents. I will look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday.
I can hardly wait. Have a great evening, my friend. I'll see you soon.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We have loved this conversation and sharing this love letter with you, and we would like to invite you to send us your love letters. Visit the link in the show notes to send us your letters and to join our email list. See you next week.
The thoughts of this chateau gently whisper, trust her word.